Hey, I'm Hey, I'm Maybe Burke, and you're watching Makeup for Lost Time. This is my series for trans women and other people who feel like they missed a few classes when it came to learning about makeup. Now, we've been going through in order of things that I started implementing when I started wearing makeup on a regular basis, but I've overlooked lips. So we're going to spend some time going over how we apply things on the lip, and we're going to do a signature red lip today. Now, there are so many different kinds of lip products. You have bullet lipsticks, you've got pencils and crayons, liquid lipsticks, lip glosses that come with different applicators. There's lip liners, there's lip stains, and I'm sure there's more stuff that I'm missing. There's also just like chapstick, there's balms, there's like so many things you can put on your lip. And the reality is, just covering your lip with product is a way to apply almost any of those things. But we're going to go over what I've learned as best practices for a long wear, bold red lip. You can do this process with any color. You can do this process with quite a few different types of product. You can layer gloss on top to change the finish of the lip. You can do a lot of different things with the simple techniques we're going to cover. But for the purposes of today, we're going to do this technique that I've learned. And I think it's important to note, I've learned this from multiple different sources. I learned this from drag queens and trans women when I was first dabbling in figuring out how to wear makeup. And then I also was taught this same exact technique in my professional makeup artist classes. And I've seen other folks using this same technique on social media and things, so it is like a tried and true technique that folks use to ensure the best results. Now, the one thing I've learned to do for my lips in general is to treat them and make sure that they are well hydrated and that they are prepped and ready for any application. Any type of product I'm going to put on, I want to make sure my lips are ready. So right now you might notice I have a full face of makeup on. I don't actually have anything on my lips. I just have a lip conditioner from MAC. I'll put something that's hydrating on my lip before I do the rest of my face. I'll have it on the whole time that I'm applying my makeup. And then when it comes time to apply my lip, I'll just make sure I take that off. Either wipe it off with my finger, or I'll come in with a napkin or a tissue or something like that to give me a smooth, dry surface to apply onto. And from there, I'm going to start with lip liner. And now, making sure that I have a pretty sharp tip on the end of this liner is going to be important to make sure I have like precision and I get the really sharp line that I'm going to want on the edge of my lip. You don't need to use a liner depending on the type of look you want or the type of product you're using. Liners can be helpful to make things last longer and to give your lip longevity. And also, depending on like more creamier formulas, might bleed out from your lip onto the rest of your skin. And liners are actually going to help stop that from happening. But what I'm going to do is go ahead and just line the outside of where my lip naturally sits. I like the shape of my lips. I like what my lips look like. I don't do any overlining or trying to make my lips look bigger than they are. That is a technique that some people use, and we can cover that in the future because I think it's helpful to know how you can play around with different shapes and things like that. But I really just take the liner and I will outline what my lips look like. And so I'll start in the center. And it's hard to talk while I'm doing this, but I'll do a little stop and start as I go. So you'll see, I just start lining that Cupid's bow. And then I'm just going to take it down to the edges of my lip. And it's okay if it's not perfect. You notice I didn't go all the way into my corners yet, and that's intentional. Again, starting in the center here. I am coming closer up into that corner, And you'll see I actually have a bit of a gradient here, like it's thicker on the edge than it is in the center, which is intentional, if that's the look we're going for. Right now it honestly just happened because I added a little more pressure there. I went a little like outside of the line that I had been doing, and that's okay because what we're doing today is going to be a little different than a typical liner. Okay. So now I'm just going to match the corners up to each other. And the reason I mentioned that how thick the line is throughout isn't actually that important is because for this technique, we're actually going to go from there and then just fill in the whole lip. And I know that sounds a little ridiculous, and I started with the outer edge so that we have that shape in place. But then I'm just going to go in and cover my whole lip with this lip liner. And so you'll notice I do have to kind of widen my smile a bit to get in some of the like crevices and creaks and creases within my lip, but in reality, in a pinch, your liner can be your lip. I could just wear this. I could throw a gloss over this if I wanted to. I could just stay with this. But for this long wear application, what I'm going to do from here is actually take that napkin I used to wipe off any product I had on beforehand, and I'm going to dab it. I'm just going to press and dab. A little bit comes off, but not the whole thing. And this is kind of pressing the product into my lip and also taking off anything that would come off if I were to take a sip of something and get stuck on the glass, or if I were to eat. We're left with some residue that's going to stay on our lip. But it's also the thinnest layer that we can have because we've taken off the excess. So then I'm going to go in with my lipstick, and I'm actually going to use a lip pencil for this. And these are basically just a thicker pencil that could also probably be used as a liner because you can sharpen them to get that precision on the edge. But I'm just going to take this over that whole lip. And first I'm noticing when I was doing that dabbing, it kind of got muddied on my Cupid's bow. And so what I'm going to do is take a little bit of my concealer that I used earlier. I'm just taking the brush. I didn't put any extra product on it. And I'm just going to swipe down onto my Cupid's bow to clean that up. And then I'll touch it up again with my liner. Because I like really having a sharp Cupid's bow. And I'll just dab with a clean piece of the cloth. So then we're going to go in with the lip pencil. But I'm just going to take that, how I would apply really any lipstick, all over the lip on top of the liner we just put down. And so this shade is a bit deeper than the liner I had put down, and that's okay if they don't match perfectly. For looks where you're not covering the liner completely, you usually want a darker shade to go on the liner and have a lighter shade inside. But since we're using one shade throughout the whole lip, it really doesn't matter. I do love this color on me. And so I'm going to take this and do that same thing that I did before. I'm just going to blot it with this napkin. And I'm using a clean piece of the napkin every time I go in. And this can be a tissue or a napkin, paper towel, your finger, whatever you need it to be. Blotting away the excess and leaving what is there. And then we're going to do that same thing one more time. Making sure I fill in the full lip. I can kind of purse my lips together to really blend it in and make sure the whole lip is filled in. And then one last time, I'm going to blot. There, I can do the whole bottom lip at once. And the whole top lip. And then we have a lip that's going to last a little bit longer. We've blotted away a lot of the excess and reapplied a couple of times so that it's going to get some longevity. It's going to stick around a little bit longer. It's going to be harder for it to wipe off. We've pressed it into the lip. We've made sure that we've got some long wear agency. And from here, if I want to make sure I have a heavy application, I can actually go ahead and put down another layer and not do the blotting at the end. Or I can just leave it as is, depending on what I want it to look like, how I want it to feel, and things like that. You can go about it in different ways. You can do this technique with, I think, just about like any lipstick there is. Liquid lipstick formulas tend to dry down really fast, but you could probably do a similar thing with the liquid lipstick vibe. But any of those bullet lipsticks or the pencils like I just used, you can definitely get this same application and use this same technique. And of course, like I said, again, you can do this with any color. I did it with a bold red look, but I also, when I first started wearing lipstick on a regular basis, like bold red was actually kind of like my signature color. So I thought it would be fun to bring that into this series for the first lip that I do. Let me know if you've tried this technique before, or if you haven't, if you are going to try it, or if you try it for the first time. I would love to know if it works out for you, and if you get that longevity that you want from your lipstick. Otherwise, I'll see you next week for Makeup for Lost Time.